all want to be free. We want to do the things we want to do with the people we want to do them, when we want to do them, where we want to do them, and we don't want restrictions. That's why we resist bosses and we resist people telling us what to do. Oh, you got to be here and this is your curfew and this is exactly what you have to do. It's like nobody likes that. We all want, like, I think the goal for everyone is full freedom of expression creatively and live where you want to live, love who you want to love, be with the people you want to be with, and do the things you want to do as long as you're not hurting other people. Welcome to Inside the Audition, the podcast where we go behind the scenes for a deep dive look into the world of auditions. I'm Joe Larsen, creator of Actors Audition Club, an international community helping actors book your dream roles in TV, film, and theater.
And I'm Brandon Knox, actor, producer, and co-host. Each episode, we chat with actors and industry professionals to share their audition experiences, insights, and advice.
We provide actors with actionable tips, strategies, and resources to help you elevate your auditions.
We demystify the often intimidating and misunderstood world of auditions to help you succeed.
So whether you're just starting out on your acting journey or you're a seasoned pro, join our Actors Audition Club members as we go Inside the Audition. Well, hello, everybody. It's me, Joey Freddy Larsen. You're listening to Inside the Audition. Today, we got a fantastic episode for you. It's a very special episode. I'm actually sharing some excerpts from our recent Audition Hero Academy kickoff/orientation welcome call. And in this episode, you're going to hear 3 different segments from that call. First, we talk about the 9 pitfalls and obstacles to avoid as an actor and as a human being, because to be a professional actor is really to be a professional human being. And what we learn as actors applies to our life as a human, and what we learn as humans applies to our life as actors. Funny how that works. Then we talk about the power of words, specifically the words in your own thoughts and the words that you're speaking about yourself and to yourself, and the power that those words have to create your reality around you and to help you manifest your dream roles and really your dream life. And then to close out the episode, we talk about the 10 characteristics of successful actors and successful people. So enjoy this episode. Again, it's an excerpt from our recent Audition Hero Academy kickoff orientation call. Plus, if you want to learn a little bit more about Audition Hero Academy, it is our 8-week transformational program to help actors shoot standout auditions, nail their callbacks, and book lead roles in their dream projects. We just started the orientation call last week, but if you want to learn more about that and join the waitlist for our upcoming classes, just send us a DM on any social media platform at Actors Audition Club. Just send us a DM that says AHA. AHA for Audition Hero Academy, and we'll get you the info. We'll get you signed up on the waitlist for the future classes and tell you all about Audition Hero and how we're helping transform auditions for our students and for our clients. So enjoy the episode. This is episode 178. I'm Joey Freddy Larsen. Make sure to like, subscribe, do all the things on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. And enjoy the episode. Bye. I want to talk about pitfalls and traps to avoid. And this is stuff that applies to all of your life, but specifically in these 9 weeks, I'm going to let you know there might be some bumps in the road. There might be times where you're having challenges. And I want to plant those seeds with you now so that when they come up in 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you're not blindsided by them. And then when they do come up, you'll be like, "Oh, Joey told me about this. I think I remember this. This is one of those things." So you're gonna get some warning shots here. So first thing is the idea of cause and effect. Most importantly, seeing yourself as the cause and not the effect. You want to be the cause of your life, not just some passive person that everyone around you and all your environment and everything around your life affects you, but you're not in charge of anything and you're not causing anything. So the idea of causality, are you committed to staying at cause during this whole process? instead of getting into the reasons of why you can't do something. And people do that in life all the time. They play victim mentality and they're like, well, I can't because of this and I can't because of that. And this happened and that happened. And oh, woe is me. That's not a powerful way to live your life. So you want to live the life where everything is your fault, the good, the bad, and the ugly, even if it wasn't your fault. You might walk down the street and somebody punches me in the face. Probably that guy's fault that he punched me in the face. But for a split second, it's not a bad idea. Could that have been my fault? How could I have changed that? Did I give him a dirty look? Could I have protected myself a little bit more? Like all the things, like you just don't want to be a flat out victim where you're like, oh, woe is me. So that's the first thing here. The second one here is giving up responsibility for value. A lot of times people join programs. It might be a course, it might be a workshop, it might be just buying a book, and they buy a book and they're like, this book better give me all the answers. But remember, throughout anything, it's always your responsibility to get value from it, from a program. You have invested this, and I honor you guys for making that investment. You get skin in the game when you invest. What we pay for, we pay attention to. Just like if you want to get fit, a great way to do that is buy a gym membership and buy a pack of personal training sessions with a trainer, and you've spent a bunch of money and you know he's going to show up, and then you know you got to show up. But the example here, you don't get any value from buying an $800 blender if it just sits on your kitchen counter and you never turn it on. So I'm going to give you tools, but you guys got to use them. I'm going to give you training resources, but then you got to apply all this and integrate it into your life. So I want you to take responsibility. And that's not to say that I'm not taking a lot of personal responsibility, but the more responsibility you take, if you decide and make the decision, you know what, I'm going to make this the most valuable 8 weeks of my acting life, chances are you'll get that value out of it when you make that commitment, versus someone who sits back and is like, Lars better deliver the goods here. He better make this worth my time and worth my money. Is probably the wrong way to look at things. So take that responsibility. Third pitfall and trap, the idea of perception versus projection. How we see things matters. You've heard the term perception is reality, but everyone's perception of things is different. I may see a scenario and think it's one thing. You look at it and you think it's something completely different. So the example I want to give you is note the difference between the phrase, man, auditions are hard, or auditions are nerve-wracking, or auditions are so difficult, versus auditions are fun, auditions are exciting, auditions are my chance to express myself creatively. Right away, it's the same thing. You're looking at the act of an audition, but your perception of that, how you see things, changes the things you see. I'll say that again. How you see things changes the things you see. So if you start to look at auditioning as fun, and auditions as exciting, and auditions as your opportunity to create art and to create a personal expression of your body and your voice and your creativity, that's going to be a lot more fun than if you're like, man, auditions are hard and they're highly competitive and 99.9% of people who auditions don't book the role. How excited are you going to be to audition if that's the way you look at things? What we see around us, good or bad, is us. You've probably heard people talk about like your outer life is often a reflection of your inner life. So the example I give here is if someone has a huge win in the group and you haven't, it's not a reason to beat yourself up and be like, there's no being ahead or behind. It's not, oh, Josh is ahead of me or Rebecca's ahead of me or I'm behind the group. All it means is they're at a different phase in their journey. And if they had a win, take that as proof. Holy shit, if someone can get something that I want, that means that I can get it too. And this is a huge trap for artists, especially actors. Sometimes is like you see people around you or stand-up comedians, you see people get the big festival, they get the big TV taping, they go to Just for Laughs, or they get a big booking in a big show. And sometimes our stupid brains will trick us into thinking, oh, man, they got something that I wanted. And because they got it, there's less for me. That's just a bad way to operate. You want to look at it from an abundant mentality and see that as possibility and see it as proof and see it as the idea that this stuff is getting close to you. Your dreams are getting closer to you. If any one of us books a dream role, you're like, oh man, this is a great sign because everything I want is getting close to me. I know that person. I know them very well. I know what they've been working on. I've been working on the same thing that they have. So my time is going to come. The flip side to that is if you're ever in these group settings or anywhere in life and you're thinking, oh man, that guy is really annoying. You also might want to explore the possibility that you are also annoying. Now, I'm not expecting anyone to be annoying. I love all of you, but always remember that we look at things through a filter. And have you ever heard the term of a black mirror? A black mirror is like you look at a black mirror and what you actually see is you. So you see all of your insecurities or you see all the negative things about you and someone else. And sometimes that's worth noting to be like, why is the thing that person's doing bothering me so much? Is that something that I do? Is that something that secretly I don't want to be like? And I'm not saying that people aren't legitimately annoying, but the process of examining your perceptions and realizing, is this a perception or is this something that I'm projecting or something that you can get some value from? So we good on that first slide? Or on this slide, not the first one, because there's more pitfalls and traps. One of them is overwhelm. You are starting something brand new. There's going to be a lot of time. There's going to be a lot of energy. There's going to be a lot of things thrown at you. Sometimes when it's new, the feeling is, oh my God, this is overwhelm. And I want you to realize overwhelm is a choice. Usually when we use the term overwhelm, it's relating to too many things to do and not enough time, meaning you have a big to-do list, but your perceived deadline is, I got to get these 50 things done this week. And you can do one of two things: is release the overwhelm, understand that everything is happening and unfolding at the right time, at the right place, trust in the universe, release the need to do everything, or release your deadline expectations. So if you're ever getting to the point in life or in this program where you're like, I'm overwhelmed, there's too many things to do and I don't have enough time. Well, give yourself a break and you can release a couple of things off those to-do lists, or you can expand your timeline a little bit and be like, well, maybe I don't need to get all of this done in this 24 hours. And in the acting world, there's two really fun things that you want to games that you want to play with yourself. One is, what if there was no deadline? What if you just were like, I love acting, or I love stand-up comedy and I love performing, rather than thinking I got to make it by X deadline. What if you just committed, you know what, I really love this. I'm going to make this a lifelong vocation and a lifelong pursuit and a life of growth. And then just be okay that trusting yourself, trusting the process, trusting me, trusting the universe, that when you release, I got to make it or makes X amount of money or book this role by this date, all those false deadlines often can hurt you. But if you just say, what if, like, do I think I can become a top actor in my lifetime? Fuck yeah, of course. It's just mastery and it's time. If you were to say, can I win an Academy Award this year? That's going to be a little more challenging for you. So you can release a lot of that by releasing the time pressure or releasing all the to-dos. And the other thing about overwhelm is understand that most breakthroughs in our lives come after a breakdown. I'll say that again. Most of your breakthroughs will come after a breakdown. So if you ever tell me, I'm overwhelmed, I might say, good. Congratulations. You're just around the corner from a huge breakthrough. Keep going through the shit, and you're going to come out on the other side, because it's growing pains often. It's new things. And the other thing about it is it's our lizard brain protecting us and keeping us safe and in the familiar. So as soon as you start to do something new, your ego and your lizard brain is like, oh no, we like Josh and we like Rebecca exactly the way they are right now. We know exactly what's going on. And this is the old caveman lizard brain, monkey brain, where it's what's familiar is safe. And as soon as you start to do things outside of your circle of familiarity, that's scary. And when we were cavemen, that might mean getting eaten by a dinosaur or a saber-toothed tiger. But now it might mean having all your dreams fulfilled. So you're moving closer to your dreams, a new life, new roles, new amounts of money, new amounts of prestige, new training, all this stuff. And your ego and your brain is going to be like, oh, this is new and it feels scary and feels weird. And it will actually prevent you from getting your dreams because your dreams are not familiar to you right now. So if your dream life is currently unfamiliar, you got to realize that your brain is going to be scared of your dream life. It's a bit of a mind fuck. I'm going to explain it a little more a little later. Distractions. Throughout all this, especially in a day of smartphones, it's like we are so distracted. Notification, notification, notification. We got a million tabs open. We got a million apps, a million people. Everyone's DMing us and text messaging us. And we feel like we got to reply immediately or else the world's going to burn down. So my challenge to you, and this isn't just for these classes, is something that I struggle with still and have to maintain focus on, is be where you are. Be here now. So wherever you are, actually be there. And so often we're somewhere and we're thinking about where we just were. And sometimes we're thinking about where we were 10 years ago, or we're thinking about the thing next week. And this is really challenging in my acting life. There's been times where I've been on set and I'm thinking about something that happened to me in my life, or I'm on set and I'm thinking about tomorrow's audition, or I'm thinking about, oh, is it going to be great after we're done shooting this and I have today's footage on my demo reel so that I can show that and then book a new role. And then I'm getting a text in between shots or something like that, or in between scenes, and I'm on my phone when I should just be here now, in the now. So as much as possible, connect to where you are right now. And sometimes that means a little 2-minute meditation, or just focus on your breath. If you're like, how do I be here now? Just be still and breathe is probably the best way you can do that. So throughout all this, do your best to close tabs, close other apps, leave your phone on airplane mode, or even in the other room. You guys made the decision to invest in yourself. So show up for yourself and be here now. Cool with that? Were you raising your hand or were you just stretching?
Oh,
just stretching. Cool. So more pitfalls. Comparison. I talked a little bit about this. Comparison is the thief of joy. Do not let comparing yourself to others or judging others or yourself derail you. And this training is about your transformations. So don't worry about comparing your journey to others. Be inspired, be motivated by your peer wins, but be wary of comparison. And remember, the wolf is the pack is the wolf. A rising tide lifts all boats. So it's not about someone else's success. It's like sometimes in these, I'm a member of a lot of mastermind groups and coaching groups. And sometimes you see or in the acting world, you see somebody book a huge role and you're like, oh my God, why isn't that for me? Or in the business world, the conference that I got back from in California was people in all industries. So some of them were creatives like me, actors, artists, musicians, but there was doctors, there was lawyers. The common thread was we all had some form of digital business. So technically we're all digital CEOs, course creators, teachers, podcasters, membership owners, coaches, all of these things. But I was around people who are making 12 million, 50 million, $100,000 months. And if I were to spend all my time looking at them, I would feel by the end of that I was a piece of shit who had never achieved anything. So don't compare yourself. And the biggest thing is a lot of the times we make the mistake of comparing our beginning to someone else's 20 years. And so don't do that. Like if you don't look at Daniel Day-Lewis's career right now and be like, why don't I have Daniel Day-Lewis's career? Well, think about the years and years and years and years and years that he's been in the game. And if you just started, you're not there. So really, if you're going to compare yourself to anyone, maybe compare yourself to someone who's at the exact same stage. But even that is a trap. Just you're on your own journey. Just focus on your own wins, share other people's wins, but don't let them distract you or get you down or get you jealous or get you judgy or any of that kind of stuff. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Excuses. We love excuses. So we got 8 weeks together. You paid for this time. I'm going to show up here. But what happens is life. This little thing called life happens, which means You get busy, you run out of time, there's distractions, you're going to have family stuff, you're going to have health stuff, you're going to have relationship stuff. But my challenge to you is throughout this, stay committed to your dreams and remember that your dreams are for you and you alone, but you must honor them and make them a reality. So your whatever these dreams are in your head, these little whispers that you hear, and you're like, where did that come from? Why did I ever get the idea that this is what I wanted to do with my life? You don't need your parents to buy into that. You don't need your spouse. Sure, that helps. And it's great that you got supportive people around you, but really the only people that you need to make your own dreams a reality is you, your friends, the naysayers, family members, all kinds of people, sometimes out of love will say things like, oh, do you really want to do this? Isn't this hard? Maybe you should get a safe job or maybe a 9 to 5. Are you really cut out for this? They'll say these things because they want to keep you safe and they don't want to see you let down, but you don't need them. Sometimes people make the mistake of thinking like, well, I'm not successful because my girlfriend doesn't support me, or well, I'm not successful because my parents think I should have gone to med school and they think acting is stupid. Never mind that. It would be great if they were on board, but the dreams and the whispers in your ears, they came to you. They weren't whispers in your parents or your spouse or your brother, sister, neighbor, childhood friends. So just understand that and understand that you only need to honor the whispers in your own head and the good whispers, not the bad whispers. We'll talk more about the bad whispers in a bit. Make sense? Cool, cool. You guys are doing great, by the way. I know I'm talking a ton. This is ideally the most talking I do out of all these sessions. Some of our future sessions, I'll do a little bit of coaching and training, but not nearly as much of this. There's going to be a lot more exercises and a lot of acting and more traditional acting. But this is all foundational. And if I don't go through this with you, everything I teach you in the acting world is something that one of my coaches calls whipped cream on garbage. So it's like if up here is all garbage and I give you all these great techniques, I'm just putting whipped cream on garbage, and it's all these pitfalls and traps and all these mental things that are going to hold you back. So the next one, this is something called the guardian of the mind. There's a lot of text on this, so I'll go through it with you. The guardian of the mind, and I mentioned it a little bit already. Our mind, specifically the ego part of our mind, is constantly looking for problems, and it's constantly looking to outsmart us for good reasons, to keep us safe and comfortable, and back when we were cavemen, to keep us literally alive and help us not die. But when we're not threatened with physical death or harm, that safety is often hurting us. So I want you throughout all of our training, be wary of little whispers like, I already know this, or the instant whisper of, I agree or disagree, or how does this compare to what I've already learned? Oh, this sounds like something I heard from this guy. Is this right? Is that? Or the opposite. You might hear, well, that's not what I heard. Someone else told me the exact opposite. So should I listen to this or not? I want you to do your best throughout all the training to, if you can't, probably never silence the guardian of our mind, the little voice that we hear in the head, but negotiate with it at least. So instead, try new ideas on without judgment, the way you try on a new jacket or a pair of shoes. Take it for a spin. See how it feels. I might say something that is completely the opposite of what you've heard in your life, or maybe it's the completely opposite of how you lived your life. And rather than say, no, that's not my reality, that's not my perception of how life works, I reject it. No, Lars, no. Just try it on. Take it for a spin for a few hours, for a day, for a week. See how it feels. And just understand that you can always put it down. You can pick it back up later. But challenge yourself and your brain whenever you hear that whisper of, oh, I know this, or I agree, or I disagree. And it's both ways. When you be like, oh, I really resonate with that. Question that too, because I don't want you to I don't want you to just be like, yes, I agree with everything you've said. And I also don't want you to be, no, I don't agree with everything you said. I want you to examine and experiment, treat everything like an experiment, treat everything like a test, like a science experiment where I'm going to see what happens here. I have a hypothesis and we'll see how it plays out. And just remember the last little point here, your lizard brain and your ego wants to keep you safe. Familiar is safe, but if your dream life and dream career is not familiar to you right now, your brain's going to do everything to keep your dream life away from you under the guise of keeping you safe and comfortable, which is a real mind fuck because in your head, you're thinking like it's disguised as logic and it's disguised as good advice and things you've heard in the past and common sense. And often it's your own voice that's holding you back, but it's disguised as something that seems really smart and and really reasonable sometimes. Gardening of the mind makes sense? Cool.
Sorry, yeah. I was just trying to write down all of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll go back. I'll get you slides to this, but
yeah. I'll take a picture. I'll add it up later.
Cool. I'll put the slide decks in as well too, so you'll have access to this. But this like again, some of the stuff like if we didn't do anything more and you pick up a few of these things and then apply it to your acting life and the rest of your life, that'll be a game changer. And we think about the investment to this program. You guys got it at 50% off. In future, we're going to do it for around $1,000. You got it for $497. What is that? That's less than, if you're in the union, that's less than 1 day on set. So really all of these 8 weeks, if there's one single thing that helps you book one single role, you're probably getting your money back, your return on investment. But my hope for all of this is that you 10x and 100x your investment with just a few of these things. I might give you 500 things, actionable thoughts or actionable exercises, tools, resources. And if you just pick up a few of them, my goal is that just those few 10x or 100x's your investment that you put into the program. So moving on, something called the inner critic. We're going to do a little exercise here. You guys know this. I don't need to tell you this. We're often our worst critic and the worst enemy of our own minds. In life, but especially in the arts, it's your own doubts, your own fears, and your own negative self-talk that will crush more dreams than any of your family members, friends will ever do. It's these little whispers of, I'm not enough. Who am I? I'm new. I'm not cut out for this. And that's on the light end. Sometimes it gets heavier where you're just a big lazy piece of shit. Like think about all the things that sometimes your own brain says to yourself that you wouldn't accept it from someone else. If a stranger walked up to you and said, hey, Rebecca, hey, Josh, blah, 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 insert inner monologue words, you would be like, get the fuck away from me. Who the hell are you to say things like that to me? But we let our own brains do that to ourselves. You guys know what I'm talking about here? Who's got a shitty inner critic? Yeah, we've had this, and this is a human thing. So don't think that you're like, oh, it's not really something that you ever defeat. It's just you get better rising to the challenge of meeting your guardian of the mind or your inner critic and being a worthy adversary rather than letting your inner critic run your entire life. So the exercise that I want to do here is I would like you to, and it will take like 5 minutes here. I would like you to write down common inner critic statements that arise in your own brain, most specific. These can be acting and show business and audition things, but just general thing. They can also be things in your life. And be specific. Actually write down the words you hear, like the actual words that you've heard. And you can think of those. And right now, write those down. We're going to share some of these. Remember that this is a safe space. We're not going to, after this, go out and be like, oh my God, you're not going to believe what Josh Welsh told me his brain says to him. This is all confidential and this is a safe space, so we can share this here. Anyone watching the replay, if we share some of this, of course, too, this is all safe and confidential. But I want you to write down as many, like let's aim for at least 5 things. But if you really get on a roll, and I know our inner critic can really get on a roll, this could be things about acting, could be things about fitness, could be things about your work ethic, could be things about your relationship, could be things about physically how you look in the mirror, could be things about your habits, your health habits, your discipline. Those are some categories. Financial might be one that you look at. And just the things that come up in your mind, and specifically look at things like I am statements. I am blank. Or you might say it to yourself, you are. Sometimes, I don't know if your inner critic is first person or third person or second person. I don't know if your brain is saying I'm this, or if you're saying you are you're no good, whatever. You guys have some things written down? I'll give you a few more minutes. What I would like you to do, so write this list down. Again, hopefully you got 5 or 10 things. Be using real things, so not made up things, but ideally the actual words that in your brain you've heard your brain say to you. And the reason that we do this is thoughts up here have a lot of power, but often when you write that stuff down, that's why journaling or what do you call it, like free flow writing is very powerful, because sometimes you get things out on paper and it loses some of its power. And sometimes when you look at it on paper, you see how silly it is. But when it's in your brain, it feels very real. It feels very immediate. And it feels like that is you. And I'm here to tell you that is actually not you at your essence and at your core of the truth of who you are. I'm going to share a little bit in a minute on how you can tell the difference between this is bullshit inner critic versus this is the truth of who I am at my core as a human being. I'm going to share a little tip, but write all that stuff down, use the actual words. And then what I want you to do is I want you to give your critic a fun name. So it might be Shut the Fuck Up Sharon, or Negative Nancy, or Asshole Andy, just some kind of fun name so you can personify this person. And we're going to have a little conversation about this. And then after we do this, the challenge for you is when you hear this voice, and what I want you to actually do is, in a way, rather than be your adversary and be like, fuck this inner critic guy, I hate you, actually embrace this person and become a friend, and realize that this inner critic is actually probably some childhood version of you that's trying to protect you. So you can say, hey, buddy, asshole Andy. Hey, shut the fuck up, Sharon. I know you're just trying to help me out, but you know what? I don't really need you right now. I know you're looking out for me, but this stuff isn't really helpful. I appreciate you. Thanks for saying all this bullshit to help protect me, but you know what? I don't need you right now. I got other ideas and other thoughts that are going to be more helpful and more useful. That's where this kind of exercise can really help you. And why is your brain doing that? To keep you safe. Because if you tell all yourself that, then you don't go for those dreams, you don't stretch your comfort zone, you don't get uncomfortable, and everything stays safe and just the way it is. You don't attempt anything, but that holds us back. For me, my experience of hearing that from other people is like sadness. I'm like, oh no, what? No, that's not true. Like the way, if like, imagine your own kid said that, and that's what a lot of this is. Sometimes is like our inner, like, it's a childhood version of ourselves, that shit our parents said, shit a teacher said, shit someone said on the playground back in the day. Those, like the movie Inside Out, those core memories stuck with us. And then there's this chatter in here, oh, you'll never amount to nothing, like that kind of, who do you think you are? And they just stick with us. And then so recognize that, like, do you see that as like your childhood self, so that you can be like, hey buddy, you're all right. Like, you want to honor it, you don't want to ignore it and just be like, can't just be like, shut the fuck up. Like, then you're a crazy person walking down the street having an argument with yourself. But you want to honor it and be like, okay, I hear you, I see you. A lot of the times it's just your, like, some kind of inner childhood thing wanting to be seen, like, see me. So you like, you get this chatter. So like, see it, be with it, recognize it, but then understand that it isn't the truth. And like Rebecca, some of these beliefs, like, and that's what they are, is they're a belief that sometimes our beliefs are so strong, they become just what we think is a matter of fact. Like, it just is the way it is. Like you said, like, I'm too old, or sometimes people say they're too young. And how you want to bust some of those beliefs is look for evidence of the opposite. Is like, yeah. Well, has anyone older than me ever succeeded in Hollywood? Yes. Has anyone younger than me ever succeeded in Hollywood? Yes. Is anyone who didn't look like a pinup poster, like Playboy model, or like Josh for you, did anyone who didn't look like Brad Pitt ever become successul? First of all, you're both beautiful. All right. So we'll just get that out of the way. So thank you for sharing that. And this is a gift that I want to share to you that was given to me. Is it's sometimes hard to separate this stuff because it feels like us. It's like your well, where's this voice coming from? Like, what the hell is this? What I was told is, and it's helped me immensely, and I remember this all the time. It's maybe the number one piece of advice I ever got in my life from someone, and it's you know how all of those statements feel very heavy. You know when you feel like shit, it's used like you ruminate in things. No good on this and that, and it's bad, and it's worry and rumination. You know how that feels heavy. Well, when we feel heavy, the advice I was given was the reason that you feel heavy and you feel down, or what you'd label as a negative emotion, guilt, shame, sadness, all of those kind of things, is the reason you feel heavy is because it is not you. And all of those thoughts are taking you away from the truth of who you are. And the flip side, if you were to say things, I'm beautiful, I'm amazing, I'm successful, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm proactive, I'm like, insert positive statements, those all feel really good. You start to think that way and you're like, oh, I feel light and I feel positive, and maybe you get a little energy or you get a little tingly. And those things, the reason they feel light and good is because that is actually the truth of who you are in the universe. And if you want to think in terms, and this, you might label this as woo woo, but one of my beliefs is that we're all energy. We're all, like, humans are connected. Essentially, we're all stardust. The universe is inherently abundant. We're limitless. We're really only limited by ourselves. So we're completely limitless. We're completely abundant. The world is amazing. The universe is amazing. We're stardust. Like, we're literally stardust. And all that is incredible. So all of the bullshit, the negative things, the reason it feels heavy is because that's not the truth of who you are. So when you hear that and then you're like, why do I feel like shit? Let that be a signal to you. Oh, I feel like shit because what I just said to myself is not the truth. And when you get back to the truth of who you are and those positive things, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel amazing. This feels good. Life looks good. I got a great sunny outlook, and I'm excited about the future. And really what that is, what we really are is love. If you were to look at the opposite of it, it's like we're fear or we're love, and often they're two sides of the same coin. So it's like, what do you pay attention to? Are you paying attention to all the fears and the worry and the negative stuff? Or are you connecting to what you are at your root core as a being in the universe? Is you're a ball of light made of infinite light, love, and abundance, which feels a lot better, right? You're smiling because that probably felt better to be like, oh, I'm light and I'm abundant. And some people might say, oh, that's just all semantics and that's all bullshit and you're just tricking your own mind. Well, maybe that is the case, but then ask yourself what's more useful and what feels better. Is it more useful and does it feel better to give yourself all the negative stuff if you think that's the truth? Probably not. Is it more useful to think the good stuff and the things that make you feel good? Probably that's more useful. So you can look at truth or not truth, but if you're not sure about the truth of the universe and that's too deep an idea, just occasionally ask yourself, is this useful? Is this thought useful? Is this helping me right now? These are my goals. And is this thought helping me get towards those? Probably not. Make sense? We good on inner critic? Thank you for playing along there. And a little bit more on the power of words. So the power of words, not only in thought and speech. So we just talked a lot about just these inner words, these little whispers. Hello, cat. Hello.
Oh, I have one too.
Is that Garfield? Oh, nice. Nice. I got a cat. I got Luna's on the couch over here.
Yeah.
That's Garfield eating some lasagna.
Yeah.
He hates Mondays. So the power of words, we talked about in thought and speech. Just understand words create our inner and outer reality. There's a whole study of science called neuro-linguistic programming. Richard Bandler is a famous scientist, and I think one of the two founders of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And what they did is they studied some of the most successful therapists and like psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists. And really what they found that they were doing is they were helping people with the words they were telling themselves and with the words that they were using to describe their world. And the challenge I have for you is see your own words, and this is spoken words and thinking words, as powerful incantations or spells that come true. So actually ask yourself, play a little game. What if everything I said came true? Like you had that power where you're like a genie and literally everything. So if you said to yourself, I'm never going to be successful, I'm always going to be the little guy, and your words like you're a wizard or you're a witch or a warlock or a druid or you're an elf, some kind of like Lord of the Rings character, is your words are powerful, and see them actually as incantations or spells that come true. And how much more careful would you be when we say flippant things like I mean, I'm not even going to give an example. We do it all the time. And if you actually paid attention and ask yourself, do I want what I just said to be true and to come to fruition? Because everything that ever happened in your life started as a thought at some point. Everything you see around you, at some point, somebody thought of it first, for good or bad. It all started with a thought. So if your reality around you in the 3D reality starts here, just be very, very aware and play that game. Like everything I say actually comes true. And then what you'll start doing is you'll start only speaking the truth of what you want in your life. So if there's shit that you don't want in your life, stop talking about it and stop reinforcing it and saying it over and over. Oh man, I suck. Oh, I'm so out of shape. Oh, I'm so ugly. Oh, I'm such a procrastinator. Oh, I never do this and I never do that. You're just speaking that into your reality. And then what your brain and the universe does is it makes that reality. Your brain is just like, oh, that's what you want. You want to never be successful. You want to be ugly. You want to be out of shape. You want to always be last place. You want to be a procrastinator. You want to be all this stuff. Okay. And then that ends up being the world that you end up seeing around you, because our brains go to work to make our thoughts a reality. It's like our world around us doesn't form our thoughts. Our thoughts form the world around us. So again, what if everything you said came to pass? How much more careful would you be with your words? So a few words that I want you to be aware of, and take this in all areas of your life, but especially over the next 9 weeks. Beware of I don't know. The second you say I don't know, it relieves all. The good thing about it is it relieves all responsibility. I don't know. Like Josh, you mentioned the example of, or maybe you both did, and it's something for me too, is wanting to be healthier and wanting to be in better shape. But if I said, well, how do you think you could be in better shape? And you go, I don't know. Is that really true? You don't know? So I don't know just shuts the conversation down. So a better replacement might be, even if it's just, I don't know yet, or, that's an interesting question. The answer is not coming up right now, but I'm going to ponder that for a little bit and see if I can explore that and see what comes up. Just something like that. Now, I'm not saying say that you know things when you don't know things. I'm saying be a little more creative when the words I don't know come up, and because I don't know just shuts things down. The flip side though, same with I know. I might say things today and you go, yes, I know. I've heard that before. Yes, I know it. End of conversation. Next thing. I already know this. And the challenge with that is we should be examining and re-examining things. And I think in all walks of life, it would help a lot of people if, rather than committing to, like, maybe there's certain values that you want to keep and hold true always. But I think there's a lot of beliefs that we should revisit constantly and be like, do I believe that? Why do I believe that? Someone else believes the opposite. Can I take a look at their side of things? And you think about, like, in arguments, it's like you got to see the other person's side of things. And if two people who are foes or enemies can sit down and talk to each other and understand the other side of the coin, rather than just say, I don't know or I know, we can get somewhere. So beware I don't know and beware I know. And instead, you can replace I know with something like, I've heard that before. Let me examine that a little further and see if I still believe that to be true, or see if I can find evidence to the opposite, or see if I can find evidence that further supports that. Things like I have to, I need to, I must. These are biggies. This is all in one category. So, oh, I got to do this thing. I got to do this assignment. I got to shoot this audition. I need to get my finances in order. I have to get to this meeting. I have to go to the gym. I need to get to the gym. When you use those words, how do those words feel? What it comes down to is freedom. We all want to be free. We want to do the things we want to do with the people we want to do them, when we want to do them, where we want to do them, and we don't want restrictions. That's why we resist bosses, and we resist people telling us what to do. Oh, you got to be here, and this is your curfew, and this is exactly what you have to do. It's like nobody likes that. We all want I think the goal for everyone is full freedom of expression creatively, and live where you want to live, love who you want to love, be with the people you want to be with, and do the things you want to do as long as you're not hurting other people. But when we're telling our own brain, I have to, I need to, I must, we're like being this crabby boss telling you, and then it feels like you're trapped. It feels restrictive. Oh, I gotta do this. It takes all the fun and freedom out of it. And when you switch those words, what you really do is you start to emancipate yourself. So instead of like, oh, I have to go to this meeting, or like in the acting world, I have to shoot this audition to hit this 10 a.m. deadline tomorrow, rather than I get to shoot an audition tomorrow and submit to this project. Sure, you might have there's always going to be a deadline, but you don't really have to do anything. You chose to do this. You chose to be an actor. You chose to get an agent. You can make the choice not to shoot the audition. You can choose not to submit to it. So it's reclaiming your power using some of your words. So replace it with I get to, I choose to, I want to, I will. I will is a powerful thing to say, instead of saying, oh, I have to go work out, or I need to start working out. If you just say, I will work out, I will go to the gym. And it's I will, like I'm using my own power of my own willpower. I will do this. I get to, I choose to, I want to, I will. And just when you say that, you can replace the same, it doesn't matter what comes after I get to, I choose to, I want to, or I have to, I need to, I must. When you make the switch, it instantly feels lighter. One feels heavy and like, I got to do this thing. And the other is like, I get to do this thing. What a blessing. And you can be grateful of the second, where you're resentful of the first. So you can turn some of the resentment of, oh, I need to do this, I have to do this, I must do this, to gratitude of, I can't believe I'm alive. I get to do this. I choose to do this. I want to do this. I will. What an amazing time to be alive. Beware I am statements, or X is something, is an M. It's a type of belief where it's X equals this. I am blank. So just beware of that. And every time you say that, remember that you're teaching yourself, you're saying things, you're programming your own brain, you're programming your own reality. X is this. Like, auditions are hard. Acting is hard. Making it as an actor is difficult. Making money as an actor is hard. That's a bad example, but yeah, that's enough examples. Also, if-then statements. So these are types of beliefs. So you say, I am, or X is, that's one type of belief. And then there's if-then. If I do this, then this will happen. If I go live on Facebook, everyone's going to laugh at me. If I go up on stage and people don't laugh, then it means I'm not a funny comedian. If I submit to this audition and I don't book the role, then I'm not going to get the job and I'm not going to make money. And then I have to get a real job. And then eventually I'm going to quit. And all my friends and family are going to laugh at me and tell me, haha, I told you so. You should have never been an actor. So just be very aware and just monitor those thoughts, because we'll take them as facts and truths when really sometimes they're just false things that you've said them and believed them so many times that you take them as fact and you take them as truth, but they're not really truths. Next one is give yourself a butt cleanse. Give yourself a butt cleanse. So this would be something like, I would love to be a successful actor, but I would love to be a top stand-up comedian, but I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't look this way. I don't have enough shows under my belt. I don't know the right people. I don't have a demo reel. I don't have enough money. And so a lot of the times that but is, it's like, I want something, but, and then we stop ourselves. So we, for lack of a better term, we crudely cock block ourselves to our own dreams. And a lot of the times that's where it comes. We'll make a statement, but I can't. I want, and the biggest trap is I want to, but I can't. I should, but I can't. I know I need to, but I can't. I have to, but I can't because blah, 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 blah. So switch that to be like, some people might say, I want to be a top actor, but if I commit to my acting life, it means that I'm not going to be able to spend enough time with my family, and then my family life will suffer and I'll lose my relationship. So you created a game in your life that you can't win, because on the one, you want the acting success and you want to commit to the training and coaching and auditioning, or if it's in the stand-up world, you want to commit to doing more shows and all that. But if you say, but I think that's going to take me away from my family or take me away from this and that, and then you set up this game where in your own mind, you've created a game that you cannot win, because if you get the things you want, it hurts you on this side. So rather than that, replace it with and. So you might say, I want to be a top, or I choose to be a top actor. I want to be a top actor and commit to a level of mastery and training, and I can also work on my relationship, and I can also work on my body, and I can whatever. So what this is coming down to is, rather than the false dichotomy of it's A versus B, what if we looked at everything of it's A and B, or the magic of it's actually A and B and C, or A and B and X? You might get more than all that. So rather than these false dichotomies, so just understand a lot of the times that but is this false dichotomy. I want this, but here are all the reasons why I can't get it. Or here are all the negative things that I think are going to be taken away from me. And so our brains don't go after the thing, because we've trained ourselves to think that if all of my dreams come true and that ruins all my relationships or ruins my health, then why even bother? Why even start? Beware why questions. Most often a why question is a dead end. Why am I so stupid? Why don't I ever get what I want? Why aren't I successful? Why don't I get the big job? And those are bad questions for two reasons. One is, who cares why? It's like, if you want to really get to the root of, like, philosophically why, okay, but it really doesn't matter why. In most why questions, they don't matter. And the other reason is, usually the answers that you give are just going to be bullshit, negative, inner critic answers. So just beware of why questions. Also beware of when questions. When is it ever going to happen for me? When am I going to book a lead role? When am I finally going to make the money I want to make? When am I going to get that new credit? When am I going to be recognized? When am I going to get the accolades? When am I going to be accepted? When is this casting director going to see me? When? And the reason why when is usually not a good question is nobody knows. How do you, like, what's the answer to that question? There's no answer. And the other reason it's a bad question, when questions are bad, is because the universe, again, a little woo-woo, but the universe doesn't have a concept of when. Time is a man-made construct that is just made up. So the universe doesn't think, oh, Rebecca better be successful within the next 5 years or else. The universe is not thinking that. The universe is just thinking, let's give Rebecca everything she actually wants and desires as quickly as we can do it. Now, that might mean a lifetime. That might mean you allow for the magic of miracles and know that you could be one email from an agent, one conversation from the right person away from your life totally changing, but also trusting that, hey, if I just do the right things over the long haul and I'm enjoying it, I'm going to get what I want, and be okay with it taking 10, 20, 30 years or forever. Also be okay with whatever it is that you want as your end goal. Be okay with that never happening. More so, just love the game. Be like, you know what, as long as I'm performing and as long as I'm expressing myself as an actor or as a comedian, I'm playing the game and that's enough for me. And then you just know that, oh, okay, as long as I get to play this game for the next 40, 50 years of my life, I'm going to be okay. And whatever happens from that happens. But just beware those when questions and understand that any when question, the universe doesn't care about when. It's not a thing. The universe is not like, well, in 1 year, we're going to give Josh all of his dreams. It's not a thing. The universe wants you to have it yesterday. You might get it tomorrow. You might get it in 10 years. You might get it never, but be okay with that. And so what you want to focus on, the bottom one here is focus on what and how questions. So you might say something like, what can I learn from this? What could this be telling me? What could I be doing better? How can I get closer to my goals? How can I look at this in a more positive way? So what and how questions can be very strong for you. And usually when you really think about it, can generate a bunch of breakthroughs. Why and when questions are usually dead ends that end up just being your shitty inner critic telling you a bunch of bullshit. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Great. So quality of your questions, or quality of your life is determined by the questions you ask. If you're looking for a better life, ask better questions. We'll get into this later when we're really into the acting stuff. Your performances, meaning you get a scene, you get an audition, you get a monologue. Your performance actually ends up being the answers to a bunch of questions that you ask about the script. So when you want a better performance, you ask better questions about the script, about the scene, about your character, about your relationships, about what you want in the scene, about what you're fighting for. And then your answers become your performance, or your answers, your performance is the expression of the answer. So later we'll talk about how asking better questions about the text and about the script and about the character and about this scenario and your relationship to the other characters. The more questions you ask, the stronger questions you ask, and the more of those questions you answer, the better your performance will be. So this is a great example of how being a better actor makes you a better human, and being a better human makes you a better actor.